Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And boy, do we have a lot to cover this morning. Of course, we're going to be talking about the New York State of the State by Governor Hochul. That happened yesterday. I would love to hear your opinion on it if you happen to catch it. We'll also be catching up on some other issues like Iran, Minnesota, all the issues that you need to know before you head into work or you head into school. First, big announcement. Thanks to all of your help, Ghost was found yesterday over by the high school. So Ghost has been returned to his new forever home. Family had just adopted him Saturday, and he saw a deer on Sunday, and away he went. But he has since been found, so thank you for all of your help. Okay, let's go to some viewer comments. Oh, thank you to the viewer that sent two they're really funny, I guess, parody songs. One was I Want My EBT, which was a cover of Money for Nothing, Dire Straits. And then the other one, which I liked a lot too, I Hate Myself for Voting Blue, instead of I Hate Myself for Loving You. Great two songs. Thank you. Kick off my morning on a light note. Okay, Mark writes in, good morning, Frank, and good morning, Mark. I see Trump visited an automotive factory, and he was heckled by an employee, and Trump gave him the middle finger. Now that's funny. And the Clintons refused to testify on the Epstein files, and they could be in contempt of court. Well, let's mention those, because I had each of those in my kind of breaking news stories. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are going to skip the House deposition in the Epstein file. Now, keep in mind this. I think the term is subpoena. This was a bipartisan effort that the Clintons refused to, quote, participate in. James Comer said every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. This is the Clintons writing a letter to James Comer saying every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough and are ready to fight for this country, its principles and its people, no matter the consequences. For us, now is that time. So to stand up for the principles of this country, the consequences, means the best way that you can defend your country, essentially, is to not participate in an Epstein investigation. An interesting statement from the Clintons, an interesting take on that. A little bit on their high horse, but it really, at the end of the day, makes no sense. You are going to fight for this country, its principles, and its people by not testifying in the Epstein investigation. I guess thank you for your service. That seems a very weird way to defend the country. Found in contempt, the Clintons could theoretically be arrested by the U.S. Capitol Police and brought before Congress. Their 8-page letter accused Comer and oversight Republicans of trying to punish those who you see as your enemies and protect those you think are your friends, calling their subpoenas invalid and legally unenforceable. Now, it is interesting because, again, the subpoena was bipartisan. Originally, the deposition for Hillary Clinton was to be held today. The oversight investigation has been taking place at the Department of Justice as it continues to release photos, videos, and other investigative files related to Epstein and his imprisoned accomplice, Maxwell. You know the history. I don't have to go through all of that. But they do face a prison threat over, as the Daily Beast, far-left Daily Beast, calls it, their snub. The House Oversight Committee Republicans were demanding the former president appear. Would have been yesterday, but the Clintons pushed back yesterday. The Clintons accused Comer of being politically motivated and embarked on a process literally designed to result in our imprisonment. It was the latest move in months-long battle over this, the first couple. So they're fighting for their country. And that's their words, not mine. Fighting for their country by not being a part of the investigation. Interesting. Now, again, it could trigger a contempt. It does, a contempt of Congress. We'll see where this goes moving forward. But the bipartisan subpoenas issued to both Clintons in August of 2025 followed a July 2025 vote by the House Oversight Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement to expand the Epstein investigation. So again, a bipartisan, but of course, the focus is on the Republicans. So just keep that in mind. Fighting for our country. The Clintons continue to fight for our country. In this case, not testifying at the Epstein investigation. And to Mark's point, Trump kind of flipped out, no pun intended, at the lunatic, his words, who, and this ties in with Epstein as well, the person that worked at the Ford plant in Michigan. I guess he saw this as his opportunity to go viral so he could tell his friends that he gave the president the what for. And he said he was a, quote, pedophile protector in reference to the Epstein files. A clearly irritated president pointed and twice mouthed, we'll just say, a cuss word and you. Cuss word and you. And then extended his middle finger. White House Communications Director Steve Chung confirmed the authenticity of the video. Quote, a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a complete fit of rage. And the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. Now, the incident was not seen by members of the traveling White House press pool, initially creating doubt about the video's authenticity. Well, it's probably filmed maybe even by a co-worker, something like that. Because, again, this is a great opportunity for someone on the far left to show their other far left people in their echo chamber, in their bubble, how much they care, how rude they can be. The man was later identified as a 40-year-old United Auto Workers Local 600 line worker at the factory. The staffer, TJ Sabula, confessed that he was the person heard yelling at the president and told the outlet that he's since been suspended from his job while an investigation is ongoing. But guess what? He has no regrets whatsoever. I don't feel as though fate looks upon you often, and when it does, you better be ready to seize the opportunity. And today I think I did that. Wow, there's a lot of people with delusions of grandeur this morning. You've got the Clintons fighting for our country by not testifying at an Epstein hearing. I wonder if this co-worker, or this auto worker, would say the same thing about the Clintons, or if this was just an opportunity to go after Trump. But again, full of themselves, and now you have a man who rudely screams at the president of the United States and says, and I quote, I don't feel as though fate looks upon you often, and when it does, you better be ready to seize the opportunity. Today, I think I did that. So he seized his fate by acting, as the White House said, a lunatic and screaming at the president of the United States. Okay. I wonder if we have any other people with delusions of grandeur. I'm sure we do. A couple other updates. On a sad note, Scott Adams, the creator of the cartoon Dilbert, who had become very politically active in his later years. He has passed away. He has connections, I think, to Oneonta, Syracuse area. Adams, known for the Dilbert comic strip, which was in the papers, but also had a TV show for a short time. He passed away at the age of 68 following a battle with cancer. Trump reacted to Adams' death on Truth Social, writing, sadly, the great influencer Scott Adams has passed away. He was a fantastic guy who liked and respected me when it wasn't fashionable to do so. He bravely fought a long battle against a terrible disease. My condolences go to his family and all of his friends and listeners. He will be truly missed. God bless you, Scott. Now, the final message Adams had to his fans, because I guess there's a podcast or live stream that him and his ex-wife had called Real Coffee with Scott Adams. It was on a YouTube. She said, this is a message that he sent to his fans. If you're reading this, things did not go well for me. I have a few things to say before I go. My body failed before my brain. I'm of sound mind as I write this January 1st, 2026. Next, many of my Christian friends have asked me to find Jesus before I go. I'm not a believer, but I have to admit the risk-reward calculation for doing so looks so attractive to me, so here I go. I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and look forward to spending an eternity with him. The part about me not being a believer should be quite quickly resolved if I wake up in heaven. I won't need any more convincing than that. I hope I'm still qualified for entry. Now, Adams first announced his prostate cancer diagnosis back in May. Many people liking Dilbert. The media turned on him. I don't remember what to Trump's point, he had been kind of a vocal Trump supporter and supporter of kind of, I guess, MAGA-related issues that caused those in the media to turn on him, to hate him. I know yesterday when I saw a nightly broadcast, news broadcast, they said there was some, he said some racist things. They always say that these people say things when they don't like them, and then they never give the facts. I didn't look it up, so I don't remember what he said, but all I remember at the time is the media really, really turned on him. As we continue with breaking news, U.S. Navy sailor Jinko Wee has been sentenced to 16 years in prison for selling secrets to China. He sold those secrets after he was encouraged to do so by his mother. Again, 16 years in prison. Jinko Wee, 25, was blasted as a traitor as he was ordered to spend 200 months behind bars by a federal judge in San Diego for selling national defense information to an intelligence officer working for the People's Republic of China for $12,000. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said this active duty U.S. Navy sailor betrayed his country and compromised the national security of the United States. Investigators found that Wee was recruited by the Chinese foreign intelligence officer, whom Wee referred to as Big Brother Andy through social media, while he was applying for U.S. citizenship in February of 2022. Evidence showed that Wee suspected early on that the man, who initially portrayed himself as a naval enthusiast working for the state-owned China Shipbuilding Industry Corporation, was a Chinese military intelligence officer. Wee told a friend that an extremely suspicious individual offered him $500 a day to walk the pier to see which ships are docked, and recognized this is quite obviously blanking espionage. Anyway, so $12,000 cash for 16 years in prison. Also, one last update. Then we're going to talk about the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about a couple other updates. Get into Iran. We will be talking about the state of the state. If you happen to watch Hochul's State of the State address, I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because we have a lot to dissect in that. We're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano on that. We also have something very specific that Assemblyman Joe Sempolinsky wanted to address in that. We'll talk about that as well. But first, one last thing before we go to our very first break. The House of Representatives voted 226 to 197 along bipartisan lines yesterday to reverse the Biden-era regulations on shower heads. Remember, this was a big issue for Trump in his campaign, something that he referenced quite frequently at his rallies. It's a move Republican lawmakers framed as a quick and easy way to return choice to homeowners. Representative Russell Fry, the sponsor of the legislation, said Washington bureaucrats have gone too far in dictating what happens in America's own homes. This is about defending consumer choice, pushing back on regulatory overreach, and standing up for common sense policy. Asked what his thoughts were on the bill, Representative Jared Golden, a Democrat from Maine, said shower pressure is a good thing. Golden was one of 11 Democrats who joined Republicans to pass the Saving Homeowners from Overregulation with Exceptional Rinsing Power, or SHOWER Act. That's a clever one. I think those things are a little heavy-handed at times. I kind of like this one. Saving Homeowners from Overregulation with Exceptional Rinsing Act, or the SHOWER Act. The bill looks to codify an executive order President Trump issued in April of last year, directing the Department of Energy to repeal the way the Biden administration interpreted water pressure in showers. Under the current law, shower heads can only produce a set amount of pressure. Imagine that heavy-handedness that the Biden administration got that heavy-handed. Representative John McGuire characterized it as a way Democrats had gone out of their way to create unnecessary restrictions. Quote, it seems like the Democrats want to tax you out of existence and overregulate you. So the bill is a step in the right direction, less regulation. Fry, the sponsor of Tuesday's bill, said the legislation would reinstate what he viewed as common interpretation of what a showerhead meant to most audiences. The rule was widely criticized as overreach and emblematic of a broader regulatory agenda targeting everyday household appliances. The Shower Act is a smart fix that reaffirms each shower nozzle is just that, its own showerhead, and should be treated accordingly under the law. There you go. I got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll read your comments. Got a lot of other announcements coming up, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking, and we will be right back.
In the heart of nature, Collisions happen when you least expect them. Deer hits can turn a tranquil drive into a chaotic moment. When the unexpected happens, turn to Scott's Collision. At Scott's Collision, we understand the frustration of unexpected encounters with wildlife. From dents to more extensive damage, we've got you covered. When nature and your vehicle collide, trust Scott's Collision to bring it back to life.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Poverty to disease, conflict to environmental issues, the world faces complex challenges. But when people unite and take action, we can make a difference. That's why Rotary remains committed to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, supporting causes that foster collaboration, peace, and prosperity for everyone, everywhere. We are people of action. We share a passion for improving communities and creating lasting change. When local communities, governments, and experts join forces to secure access to clean water, sanitation, and quality health care, diseases are prevented, children can attend school, and everyone can prosper. By creating economic opportunities, ensuring quality education, and building stability, cycles of poverty and conflict are broken, and we can safeguard our natural world for generations to come. Learn more, find your cause, and take action at Rotary.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to a viewer comment. Mark writes in, I started to watch Hochul's State of the State, but before Hochul came on, they put on Frankie Focus, and I couldn't focus, so I switched the channel. Did they really bring out Frankie Focus, Mark? It's a hilarious joke either way. But if they brought out Frankie Focus and they're not letting this thing die, that is fantastic. But I could understand why you couldn't focus with Frankie Focus on the screen. He's a star. If you're not sure what we're talking about, that is the mascot to encourage kids or to inspire kids not to use their cell phones during the school day, because that is banned, of course. And for whatever reason, the state decided to spend a lot of money on a mascot centered on very, I would say, very young children, the ones that aren't a problem with a cell phone, because we know the high school kids, the ones that are more addicted to their phones, probably not overly impressed with a big green mascot named Frankie Focus. Okay, the Supreme Court looks to be leaning towards backing state restrictions on transgender student athletes. That's what it seems appeared likely to uphold state laws that ban transgender athletes from taking part in girls and women's school and college sports. The court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, heard more than 3 hours of oral arguments in separate cases involving 2 transgender students. Both won lower court injunctions that allowed them to continue to compete in sports. During arguments, questions asked by justices indicated a majority appeared reluctant to find that the law violates either the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which requires the law apply equally to everyone, or Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, which prohibits sex discrimination in education. As a matter of fact, Alito pressed a trans female athlete's lawyer for a definition of a woman during the hearing. Alito asked Kathleen Harnett, who was arguing on behalf of the Idaho student in the Supreme Court case, what it meant to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman when it came to equal protection purposes. Harnett agreed that a school may have separate teams for students classified as boys and a category of students classified as girls. Harnett also agreed that there needs to be an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman. Harnett said, sorry, I misunderstand your question. I think the underlying enactment, whether it was the policy, the law, We'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was understanding that term to figure out whether someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court. We're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is the way it implies in practice is to exclude birth sex males categorically from women's teams, and there's a subset of those birth sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest. So Alito said, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes? Harnett continued, I think here we just know. We basically know that they've identified pursuant to their own statute. Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's team as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definition as we find them, and we don't dispute them. We're just trying to figure out, do they create an equal protection problem? Alito then posed a hypothetical question to Harnett about a boy who has never taken any kind of puberty blockers or other medication, but believed they were a girl, and whether a school can say that boy cannot participate on a girls' sports team. Harnett suggested the hypothetical wasn't necessarily what her side was arguing. So this is going to be interesting, but that is arguably, well, probably the biggest case in front of the Supreme Court as of right now. It's interesting as we move along for some breaking news, and we've just got so much to cover. I've been talking recently because of some of these videos that have been released, and we talked about James O'Keefe. And James O'Keefe did these investigations long ago, like into Acorn. Now I can't even remember why we kept bringing him up. James O'Keefe. Oh, it was because of Minnesota. Come on. It was the fraud videos where the media turned on the citizen journalist saying that he didn't do, basically they lied to you and say, well, it was edited, selectively edited. Well, you and I both know that if I came up with an investigative piece and I sent it to the media outlets at 4 hours long for them to cut down, they're not going to do anything with it. You've got to cut it down. James O'Keefe had the same issue, whether it was Acorn or many of the major investigatory pieces that he did in the past. They'd say, well, it's been edited. Well, of course, you can't take 10 hours. Anyway, I don't want to go into this. James O'Keefe, full disclosure, I interviewed him, I think, a couple times back in radio. Nice enough guy. Well, now the media doesn't seem to hate him so much because it looks like he is bringing down the Secret Service, or at least one individual in the Secret Service. A U.S. Secret Service employee assigned to Vice President J.D. Vance's protective detail has been placed on administrative leave after an undercover video released by independent journalist James O'Keefe allegedly showed the agent leaking sensitive security information. The way I understand it, I haven't watched the video, but the way I understand it after reading up on it, they kind of tricked him by using a dating app. So maybe he was giving away some of the secrets he shouldn't to what he thought was going to be a future girlfriend. The USSS, U.S. Secret Service, is investigating and said the employee's security clearance has been suspended and access to agency facilities and systems revoked as the incident is investigated, opening the door to broader concerns about operational security and an agency-wide retaining order. Deputy Director Matthew Quinn said the U.S. Secret Service has no tolerance for any behavior that could potentially compromise the safety, privacy, or trust of our protectees. This incident is under investigation, and the employee involved has been placed on administrative leave with his clearance suspended and access to agency facilities and systems revoked. The U.S. Secret Service has also issued an order for all personnel to retake the agency's required anti-espionage training in order to ensure employees are aware of the threats posed by individuals aiming to exploit agency employees for information about our protective operations. Well, you've got to say, thank heavens in a way, that this was done as an investigation to expose, and it should be noted that the Secret Service agent, and you won't see this in most mainstream media coverage of this, the Secret Service agent was a holdover from the Biden administration. So O'Keefe's group went in, got this guy by using a dating app, got this guy to really give some very sensitive information, the way I understand it, to expose that, there's a lot of safety threats. We saw at least two assassination attempts on the President of the United States. You saw, now this isn't Secret Service, of course, but we saw it with Charlie Kirk. So it's very scary, the far left violence out there. So J.D. Vance, to have someone that close to him, his protection duty, giving away this kind of information is scary. And thank goodness it was someone like James O'Keefe's group exposing it and not the enemy. James O'Keefe showed undercover footage allegedly showing the agent he claims is being assigned to Vance's protective detail, sharing sensitive information with someone he believed to be a romantic interest. According to O'Keefe, the agent discussed protective information, shift schedules, travel movements, and advanced security procedures, and allegedly sent images while aboard Air Force Two. Now, I can maybe understand a couple of photos. You've got someone you think is going to be a romantic interest, but do you send her shift schedules, travel movements? Wouldn't at some point you think, wait a minute, this person, I may be catfished here. This may not be the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. This may actually be someone looking for a little bit too much information. Now, I guess the piece I read by O'Keefe, they have redacted in the video what the Secret Service asked them to redact, which is, again, a good thing that it came from O'Keefe's group and not the enemy. O'Keefe goes on to write that the agent involved was recorded on hidden camera, providing an undercover journalist with sensitive security information, and allegedly discussed protective formations, shift schedules, travel plans, real-time locations. Shared information sometimes days in advance, and acknowledged signing paperwork prohibiting disclosure of that kind of privileged information. So while saying, hey, I shouldn't be telling you this. O'Keefe alleges the agent is a holdover from the Biden administration and that he holds anti-ICE and anti-Trump administration personnel views. No wonder that is most likely why O'Keefe went after that specific agent to do what apparently the Secret Service wasn't willing to do and get rid of him if he had those kind of views and was willing to leak that kind of information. All right, when we come back, a Greenland update. We're also going to talk about Iran. Yes, we are going to talk about the state of the state. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Young's Tires at 909 Chemung Street in Horseheads is the area's most trusted automotive repair facility. Check engine light on? Visit Young's Tires for a complete diagnostic check. Trust Young's Tires for complete repair, including tires, suspension, brakes, and more. For over 50 years, Young's Tires in Horseheads has been your trusted automotive repair shop. Whether you're an off-roader looking for a suspension upgrade or you want to get your star player to the game, trust the team at Young's Tires.
Do you want free internet? Forever? You got it. Really. We mean it. Spectrum is offering free fiber-powered internet forever. Want it? Just call this number and switch 4 mobile lines to Spectrum for a lifetime of internet you never pay for. It's not a trial. It's an unprecedented offer. So we'll say it again. Free fiber-powered internet forever. Have you called yet? Because your internet is forever. But this ad ends now.
At McGuire, we know buying a car is a big decision, so we made it a little easier. With our pre-owned 30-day exchange policy, if you don't love your car, truck, or SUV, return it within 30 days or 1,000 miles. Not liking the color, model, payment, whatever the reason, we'll give you the full value toward another car at McGuire, no questions asked. That's car buying with no regrets. McGuire, right by you.
No matter where you are, too many kids are going hungry and without. Together, we can help children thrive. Feed the Children is committed to creating an America and a world where no child goes to bed hungry.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comments from viewers. During the Supreme Court hearing, they brought in Miss Rachel to explain to Justice KJB what a woman is. Thank you very much. Comment from Mark. They actually did. This is in reference to Frankie Focus. They actually brought They're not dropping Frankie Focus. They actually did, and he stole a cell phone from a person in the audience. It was a setup. It was staged. I absolutely. First of all, anybody in their right mind sees Frankie Focus, they're putting their cell phone right in their pocket. I don't care if it is the beginning of the state and you're already getting bored. You see Frankie Focus and you hide that cell phone. Unbelievable. How hokey is Governor Hochul? Something appropriate about the name. So Vance is to meet with Danish and Greenlandic officials in Washington. This is a new chapter in the ongoing saga of Greenland. Now, again, locals have said Greenland is not for sale. We know that Trump has had different opinions about that. Well, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance will meet Denmark's foreign minister. Let's try it. Let's have a little fun this morning. Lars Løkke Rasmussen. Oh, that wasn't as bad. And his Greenlandic counterpart, Vivian Motzfeldt, in Washington today to discuss the Arctic island, which is semi-autonomous territory of the United States NATO ally Denmark. So we'll see how that unfolds. We know that there's been visits already to Greenland by the vice president, so we'll keep you updated. Yeah, it's not much of an update, but it's a little bit of a Greenland update. So Trump yesterday threatened very strong action against Iran if it does hang that protester we mentioned yesterday. Trump told CBS Evening News, "I haven't heard about the hanging. If they hang him, we're going to see some things that I don't know where you come from, what your thought process is, but you'll perhaps be very happy." And when asked to clarify, Trump responded, "If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action." Now, we've learned that about 2,500, it's so tragic, 2,500 people have been killed by the Iranian regime because of those protests. That's, I'm guessing a conservative number. Trump said the end game of taking strong action against Tehran would be to win, and implied that it would involve a military operation. Well, let's define it in Venezuela. Let's define it with al-Baghdadi. He was wiped out. Let's define it with Soleimani. And let's define it in Iran, where the U.S. military wiped out the Iran nuclear threat in a period of about 15 minutes once the B-2s got there. We don't want to see what's happening in Iran happen. And if they want to have protests, that's one thing. When they start killing thousands of people, and now you're telling me about hanging, we'll see how that works out for them. It's not going to work out good. My big focus is here, but you can't be forgetting about bad threats. You can't forget about Iran with a nuclear weapon. You can't forget about the tremendous wealth in the Middle East, and a lot of wealth is coming over here to build plants. My focus is very much on this country, but you can't lose sight of the fact that we need peace all over the world. Later, Trump doubled down on his comments, saying, "I'm a moral person. I don't like seeing death. I don't like seeing our people hurt. I don't like seeing the other side hurt either. When we went to Venezuela, we lost nobody, but a lot of people on the other side were killed. I don't like that." Somebody else would say, "Oh, that's wonderful." I don't like that. So yeah, it's limited by my morality, and I have a very high grade of morality. So therefore, it is limited. He also said in a post on Truth Social, he told the thousands of demonstrators in Iran, he said, "Take over your institutions, and that the killers and abusers will pay a big price." The help essentially is on the way. So he tells protesters help is on the way. Now, this comes on the heels, as I said, with fast trials and executions. The crackdown death toll is over 2,500. As a matter of fact, according to U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, 2,571. The figure dwarfs the death toll from any other round of protests or unrest in Iran. But Trump repeatedly has warned that the United States may take military action over the killing of peaceful protesters. Meanwhile, Wednesday, Iran prepared for the mass funeral of 100 security force members killed in the demonstrations as people remain fearful in the streets. Now, to that point where he said help is on the way, Ahmed Sharari, he's a senior research analyst at the Foundation of Defense of Democracies, focusing on Middle East affairs. He said, the last time a U.S. president drew a red line and refused to enforce it, thousands of Syrians paid the price. That was Barack Obama's 2012 failure. Did I say 2012? 2012 failure. Just hit me what I may have said. To enforce his red line against the use of chemical weapons. You remember that at the time. It emboldened our adversaries. It showed our weakness. Russia and Iran continued to grow and continued to prop up Assad's murderous rule. Obama's stance was an extension of the same weakness he displayed when Iran's population took to the streets to protest the rigged vote of 2009, which resulted in the re-election of Holocaust denier Mohammed Ahmadinejad as president. Mohammed Ahmadinejad. I used to be able to say that like it was no issue. Ahmadinejad. Anyway. Instead, he sought to quietly engage with the Iranians to enter nuclear negotiations. So far, Trump has not looked like a similar pushover. He has now issued a major promise to the Iranian people, whose current fight for freedom has already resulted in more than 12,000 killed. Trump must not hesitate or allow external distractions from Cuba to Greenland to dilute that commitment if he is avoid a repeat of Obama's error. Wow, I wonder where he got the 12,000 killed. That's quite a different number, but I'll continue. When red lines are not enforced, the cost of inaction hits both the affected population and America's own credibility. Obama warned, and we don't have to go all the way back through Obama, but history will judge both Trump and the United States harshly if Washington fails the Iranian people in this moment, just as it judged Obama harshly for turning a blind eye to Syria. The moment to remind the Islamic Republic and other American adversaries that the United States follows through on its commitment has arrived. Washington has an array of tools at its disposal, such as seizing oil shipments to choke off the regime's revenues, restoring internet access, which sounds like that already happened, after days of state-enforced blackout, or conducting targeted cyber operations to disrupt the regime's repression apparatus. If the mass killing of civilians continues, the United States should be prepared to escalate further and use targeted military options. Standing down would not only discourage the masses of Iranians who have yet again risked their lives to confront the ruling Ayatollahs. It would tell the world that the United States is a paper tiger at the very time that Washington most needs to make its roar heard. Now, as I said, Elon Musk's Starlink internet service is now free in Iran. According to a tech expert in touch with Iranian Starlink users, Starlink accounts in Iran that were previously inactive now have connections, and their subscription fees have been waived as of Tuesday. It's plug and connect. Just put the satellite terminal somewhere that has access to a clear view of the sky, and you're good to go. It's huge to get the information out. That's why, of course, the regime in Iran looked to black out the internet, tried to end communication. They're trying to, of course, censor. Now, all right. We may talk more about this. If you want to, there's about 10 pages of analysis by Stephen Collinson from CNN. The question Trump must ask before striking Iran. Trump keeps creating new red lines. Does he? I love this. There was no criticism over the Syrian red line in the media. But in this case, of course, Trump keeps creating new red lines. I'm not going to go through this. There's no sense, because no matter what happens here, Trump is going to be criticized for it. If it's a successful mission and they end the Iranian regime, he'll be criticized for that. It's just like something as simple as the cutting credit card fees, interest to 10%, which would benefit so many people. I see on every news report, they say, well, but it will negatively affect the poor. I guess they don't mean the poor that already have this massive credit card debt. I guess they mean people getting new credit cards to get in debt. I'm not really sure. Now, Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who we may talk about a little bit later on, finally, after all this time, condemns Iran's regime's deadly handling of protests. But isn't that interesting? Because we had so many anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests, so many people. We talked about this on the program with a viewer comment. So many people talking about the murderous Benjamin Netanyahu, which just isn't the case. They were attacked on October 7th. It was with precision that he fought this fight. But anyway, we don't have to relitigate that. But so much protest against Netanyahu and Israel. Boy, the silence is overwhelming at the Iranian regime brutally murdering their people because they choose to protest in the street. The hypocrisy in that scenario is so glaring. But Zohran Mamdani finally said this: I absolutely do not support the way the Iranian government has responded to that. I think that the Iranian government and every government should respect the right of people to express their political opinions and for people to be able to do so safely. Wow. Thanks for that full-throated endorsement. This is coming from the guy who vowed to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he came to New York. One Twitter user said, has Mamdani said anything in support for the people of Iran? How about any of his advisors? Is Mamdani monitoring the situation in Iran? And that's in reference to he was monitoring the situation in Venezuela. We know he does not have top security clearance like that. He's trying to build himself up to make himself seem more important. Another user saying, is anyone really surprised by this lack of comments to date? He will reluctantly make statements like this only when it is absolutely necessary to keep the mast from fully coming off. Yeah, the hypocrisy in this is extremely frustrating. Now, Michael Goodwin, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this before we take a break. Using the military for regime change in Iran would be a gamble. Don't turn it into another Iraq. I don't know. Against the backdrop and with the events in Venezuela still unsettled, a military entanglement in Iran would probably not be popular at home. That's not to say the U.S. should turn its back on the brutal regime's crackdown, but the political reality is that the president can't afford to turn his attentions too far or too long from America's kitchen table issues. Your thoughts on that? We're going to talk about the state of the state a little bit later on. We have a couple updates on Minnesota, so stay with us. Keep those comments coming in. We will be right back. Man, I'm running late this morning. We'll be right back after this.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
State nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
I'm a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I couldn't be the mom my kids needed me to be.
She missed so much.
After my last surgery, I got an infection so bad I thought it was going to kill me.
I told her she couldn't leave me yet. There was still so much she had to see. I hadn't even graduated.
I'm doing much better now. I'm an active part of my kids' lives.
She can kick a mean soccer ball.
DAV's been there for me and my family. Through thick and thin, they've had our back.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories great and small.
My victory is getting my life back. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Steve. Did you see yesterday where Trump also said that he is removing all federal funding from all sanctuary cities starting February 1st? Yes, I did, and thank you for reminding us, because that's the typical Trump media cycle, something that major you nearly forgot about. Why? Because it was 15 hours ago and not 2 minutes ago. So yes, thank you for letting us know that. Trump is vowing to cut federal payments to sanctuary states and cities in a matter of weeks. President Trump saying in Detroit, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens. So thank you, Steve. One last thing, kind of on Iran, but overall, and then we'll talk about Minnesota. I know we got to talk about the state of the state. If you happen to see it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But quickly, this is from Glenn Reynolds, and I thought it was a good point. Quote, there are decades where nothing happens, and then there's weeks where decades happen, quote. That's a quote often attributed, perhaps incorrectly, to Vladimir Lenin. But whoever said it first, it's certainly true of the last week or so. Just look at the headlines. In Iran, the mullahs, who have been in rule since 1979, are collapsing in the face of widespread popular revolt. For nearly all of the 47 years since Jimmy Carter allowed Ayatollah Khamenei to take power in the belief that it would somehow advance the cause of human rights, Iran has been a major rival to the U.S. in the region and around the world. The theocracy has been a source of headaches and humiliation as various administrations tried to manage the problem with techniques ranging from cakes baked in the shape of a key, that was Reagan, to pallet loads of cash, that was Obama. Now even Democratic Party politicians are condemning the mullah's regime, which tells you how they think it's going to turn out. And they're really not condemning it as full-throated as they should. When we talk about what we've seen, the despicable language used against ally Benjamin Netanyahu, trying with pinpoint accuracy, trying to do with the least amount of casualties at the time after that October 7th attack, and yet you hear horrific language used to him and then kind of a mull. And I don't know the reason why that is, other than pure political reasons. It's not about human rights at this point. You got to get off your high horse a little bit if you're going to talk about what you feel, and this is just in general with the protesters that we see on the streets here in Corning and elsewhere. You've got to get off your high horse when you're talking about Israel and your beliefs on Israel and Netanyahu if you're not out there talking about bringing down the regime and standing in solidarity with the anti-Iranian regime protesters. But I'll continue. In Venezuela, Maduro was removed from power and from his country by U.S. Special Forces deployed by President Trump. The stealthy American lightning ray that snatched him from Venezuela's largest military base blew past advanced Chinese and Russian air defenses and incapacitated hundreds of troops guarding Maduro with high-tech sonic weapons that left them vomiting and bleeding from the ears. Probably the most intricate and successful military raid in history, and without the loss of a single American life. Here at home, leftists are trying to resurrect the Black Lives Matter strategy against U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, even though black Americans are conspicuous by their absence this time around. Now it's mostly middle-aged white women eager to taunt, threaten, and obstruct lawful enforcement raids targeting criminal illegal aliens. But the big news is that the raids are happening at all. We were told for decades that we couldn't do anything about illegal immigration, at least not without a big pork-filled, amnesty-laden bipartisan bill. But now the border is basically closed, and those in the country illegally are being shipped out. Crime in Washington, Memphis, and other cities were out of control. Trump sent in the National Guard to fix it. Sometimes the mere threat of sending the Guard was enough to get local authorities to fix crime problems by themselves, something they could have done all along, but mysteriously didn't. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reported this week that up to 10% of the federal budget is lost to fraud annually. The total fraud tally is probably greater than that. Elon Musk has estimated over $1 trillion a year, and what we've seen just in Minneapolis suggests he may be on that track. May be on track. Everyone has known for years that the federal budget was out of control and riddled with waste, but even the most pessimistic estimates weren't pessimistic enough, yet nothing was done. Now that's changing too as Bessent launches new initiatives to shut the fraud down. In legend, the Gordian knot was a rope fashioned into a knot of immense complexity. Whoever untied it would supposedly rule Asia, but no one could. Until Alexander the Great, who declared it makes no difference how it is loosened, and cut it with his sword. To this day, cutting the Gordian knot describes a simple, forceful approach to solving overly complex problems. As political scientist Wilfred Riley recently posted, ending crime and unwanted migration was always as simple as it seemed to you and your buddies at the bar or on the track. A great deal of mid-wit noise was made to disguise it. America's institutional elite have spent decades making simple problems complex. But the Gordian knot can be cut. Problem with Iran? Try ousting the mullahs, not negotiating with them. They're better at haggling than we are. Trouble with illegal aliens pouring into the country? Close the border now. Trouble with an illegitimate dictator of Venezuela? Dispose him. Trouble with financial fraud? Arrest the fraudsters and shut off the money taps. The people who have made these knotty problems did too well managing or addressing them to ever actually solve them. Doing so would shut down the whole feed pot. Trump just cut the knot. That's a terrible blow to the managerial class. If the public realizes you can actually solve problems, there'll be more pressure to do that rather than just manage them endlessly. That's unforgivable. No wonder Trump is the villain in their eyes. I thought that was a really good point and kind of encompassing a lot of the things that we've been seeing. To his point, we got to take a break. To his point, but to the point in the one piece, the kind of the white middle-aged women who are out protesting ICE. We've got a couple of updates on that. We do have to get to the state of the state. That'll probably be the next hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Every day in January is New Year's Day at Cutler's. Stop in and receive phenomenal savings as our rock bottom prices will be available for the whole month. We have pallets of 6, 12, and 20 mil LVT in stock starting at $1.99 per square foot. Up to 50% off on all in-stock carpet and LVT. Take 10% off our already low prices for all special orders. Bring in your measurements or we can measure for you. Hurry in for the best selection as these are the lowest prices of the year. Cutler's Carpet and Flooring, we have a buddy in the flooring business.
Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles, refreshingly cool iced coffee. Oh, don't mind me, just doing my morning affirmations. Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles.
Mix and match a sausage McMuffin with egg McMuffin, or sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. Get any two for just $5 and pair it with $1.99 any size iced coffee.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At some point in your life, you or a loved one will need disability services, and Easter Seals will be there. Because at Easter Seals, our national network of caregivers and experts make a lasting difference in the lives of people with disabilities by providing care and support at every stage of life in thousands of communities across America, like yours. We're helping your neighbors, kids, grandparents, and friends with disabilities lead full, independent lives.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Yes, we need to take a break already. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So less than a week after Renee Nicole Good was fatally shot, another woman was seen on video blocking a Minnesota road with her vehicle as anti-ICE agitators gathered in support. Boy, they're playing with fire. That's not a threat. That is just, when you see these videos, boy, a lot of high tension. Video showed federal agents on Tuesday breaking the passenger side window of the car while attempting to stop the female driver, who appeared to be wedging agents between her vehicles and another car blocking the road. The agitators shouting, "Go, go," trying to encourage this. The woman, who has not yet been identified, was pulled from the car as she clung onto the driver's side door. Agents pushed her up against the side of the car and handcuffed her as others yelled, "Stop. All you do is hurt." Again, this is as if they're peacefully marching in the street. This is if they're, but again, you're talking about roadblocks. You're talking about trying to wedge agents between cars. Minutes later, agitators wearing black hoodies and gas masks were seen banging against the federal agents' cars as tear gas, pepper balls, and pepper spray were deployed in an attempt to get control of the unruly crowd. And in a typical cliche fashion, the agitators yelled Nazis and that you will pay for your crimes. Footage showed multiple people being detained in the snow as others recorded the interactions on their phone. Meanwhile, another crowd of about 70 to 80 protesters gathered Tuesday in Minneapolis' Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building, where they were seen blocking and throwing rocks at federal agents' cars. One agitator near the building was caught on video opening up the back of a federal agent's vehicle as it drove away, and another was arrested after allegedly throwing water bottles and kicking agents' vehicles. Wow. This is getting, well, and there's the playbook. We know that they've had, there's people that actually take it's almost like a hobby, no different than knitting. They take these classes on how to be the most disruptive, how to get away, these type of things. We learned about that yesterday. Keith, well, we don't have to go through all these places, demanding the ICE and law enforcement leave. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said Keith Ellison today, that's Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, made it abundantly clear today he is prioritizing politics over public safety. It really is astounding that the left can miraculously rediscover the 10th Amendment when they don't want federal law enforcement officers to enforce federal law, which is a clear federal responsibility under Article 1, Article 2, and the Supremacy Clause, and then go right back to federalizing every state responsibility possible when they get back in power. Spare us. All right, we got to take our last break, then we're going to wrap up hour number 1. Stay with us.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
An albino buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Quickly, we're going to probably wrap up our discussion on ICE and Minnesota and Minneapolis in the top of the next hour because we got to get the state of the state. But the View host, Joy Behar, and this is a conspiracy theory that the left continues to push, she says that Trump is aiming to use ICE protests as an excuse to cancel the midterm elections. I worry that Trump is looking for this kind of pandemonium to go on so he can declare martial law and also cancel the midterms. Watch out for this guy because he's worried. He even said if the Democrats take Congress next time, I will be impeached, which means that he could be convicted and sent to jail. He does not want that to happen. Whoopi Goldberg said, let us be very clear. Not all ICE agents are out of control. Not all of them. Some of them actually do know what they're doing, and are having a real hard time because they don't recognize the agency they work for years. So there's a lot going on. But keep in mind, you don't have the right to be a bonehead, okay? You can't spit on people. People don't like it. But you do have a right to say, we don't like what we're seeing. We're going to protest. Well, Whoopi, a little bit level-headed there. I'm sure it got worse later on because she went on to say, listen, think carefully about what you say. Keep your hands where the officers can see them. Don't run or touch an officer. Yeah, but these groups are encouraging you to do everything else. And that's why Whoopi Goldberg kind of admitting there that, not that I want to talk about the View that much, but admitting that a lot of these people have encouraged this kind of response by ICE agents because they're not just peacefully protesting. They're spitting, they're punching, they're kicking. Democrat Representative Tina Smith said that they should shut the government down over ICE. We can't provide more funding to an agency that is completely out of control. So we know that January 30th is the deadline coming right around the corner. So the government shutdown could happen because of ICE. Democrat Representative Maxwell Frost from Florida said ICE's gun violence is coming to all our neighborhoods. So get ready, I guess. Minneapolis's Jacob Frey said, I'm more concerned ICE agents might be killed due to increase in agents conduct that we're seeing on the streets. Wow, that sounds like a little bit of a threat. We've got 2 or 3 things on this, and then we're going to wrap up and go to New York State. Tell me what you thought about the state of the state. Stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2 after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
At McGuire, we know buying a car is a big decision, so we made it a little easier. With our pre-owned 30-day exchange policy, if you don't love your car, truck, or SUV, return it within 30 days or 1,000 miles. Not liking the color, model, payment, whatever the reason, we'll give you the full value toward another car at McGuire, no questions asked. That's car buying with no regrets. McGuire, right by you.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Dante Brown, Big Fox News.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We're going to be talking about the state of the state delivered by Governor Hochul. That'll be coming up in just a few moments. We've already learned, though, that Frankie Focus was the focus of attention at the very beginning of the event. Good to see that we've really hitched our wagon to Frankie Focus. Here's the state. Let's go to some viewer comments. Even if the government shuts down, it does not affect federal law enforcement. They are still funded mandatory spending. It's everybody's out trying to out-rhetoric each other, trying to outdo themselves on the left. So I appreciate your point. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning. Good morning. Just wondering, has Ghost been found yet? Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I mentioned it at the very top of the program in the 6 o'clock hour. Our friend Ghost, who we brought up yesterday, has been found over by Corning Painted Post High School. I got the note late last night. Ghost, if you're not familiar, I don't have my notes in front of me, but had spent over half his life in a shelter, 699 days, something like that. Finally gets adopted by a family. Very excited to have Ghost in their lives. Adopts him on Saturday. By Sunday, he saw a deer and had enjoyed his freedom for a couple of days, from going to a shelter to a house to the open fields. But he has been returned, and it's great news. Ghost is back with his loving forever family. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to highlight that again. We were talking about ICE agents. There's a really interesting piece here by Jonathan Turley, because you'll hear this, and I like to quote Jonathan Turley quite often on this program. He works for Fox News and other outlets. But he talks about this new trend of say her name. Have you heard that? Say her name. From Portland to Philadelphia, the mantra is being used by politicians to fuel anger over the shooting of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis. While many of us have noted that the shooting appears to fall within Supreme Court guidelines for the justified use of lethal force, there is an effort to make Good the personification of a so-called resistance movement. Across the country, Democrats are holding I am Spartacus moments, resembling a low-budget casting call for B-grade actors, chest-pounding calls for everything from defunding ICE to the arrest of law enforcement officers. Senator Cory Booker was widely ridiculed for his own such Spartacus moment years ago. Yet he discovered that while most people found his self-aggrandizement cringeworthy, others long for such displays. Others want that same hokey I am Spartacus moment. Other people want, it's that kind of virtue signaling. It's that I care more than you. I'm the most offended. I'm more offended than you. I'm more grieved than you. That's what these people are looking for. So what a great way of putting that. Yes, people cringed at Cory Booker. A lot of people laughed at him, even in his own party. It kind of hurt his ranking when it came to potential presidential contenders. But now there's others that want that same kind of attention. They want the social media, actual media, they want that spotlight focused on them no matter how cringeworthy their actions are. Democrat leaders are engaging in performative press conferences, attempting to outdo one another. Boy, it sounds like Jonathan Turley listens to this show, doesn't it? By declaring the shooting of Renee Good murder or announcing a war with the federal government over the enforcement of immigration policies. The tone was set almost immediately after the shooting as Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who not only declared the officer a murderer, but dismissed claims of self-defense as, we'll say, baloney, and told ICE to get the blank out of the city. When many of us denounced his conduct, Frey mocked critics, apologizing if his profanity had offended their Disney princess ears. Frey appeared to trigger a race to the bottom. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and others rushed to the nearest camera to condemn the officer and fuel the rage. Democratic politicians seemed to compete over who could escalate rhetoric fastest, adding profanity or threats. Representative Dan Goldman, facing a serious primary challenger from a Mamdani-endorsed socialist, has fought to outrage the competition. Goldman not only called for the arrest of the officer, but also moved to strip all ICE officers of immunity. Goldman, of course, enjoys immunity as a member of Congress and as an heir to the Levi Strauss fortune can afford any litigation. Yet he wants to strip protection from law enforcement officers who put their lives on the line every day. Apparently, no price is too high to help Goldman secure a third term. In Portland, Mayor Keith Wilson and Oregon Governor Tina Kotek expressed outrage over ICE being in the city after a shooting. It did not seem to matter that those wounded were two suspected TDA gang members, allegedly shot after trying to run over an ICE officer. Portland Police Chief Bob Day later confirmed that Luis David Nico Macanenda and Yolanda Bezbeth Zambrero Contreras are Venezuelan criminal illegal aliens with ties to TDA. He admitted the Portland Police Department hesitated to disclose the suspected gang connection because it feared accusations of the, quote, historic injustice of victim blaming by law enforcement. He then became emotional, saying, "It saddens me that we even have to qualify these remarks because I understand, or at least have attempted to understand, your voices, your concerns, your fear, your anger." In Philadelphia, District Attorney Larry Krasner and Sheriff Rochelle Bilal took the performative press conference to a new and absurd level. Krasner, who has been known for sensational but unfulfilling pledges, told ICE to stay out of the city and portrayed its conduct as criminal, adding, "You will be arrested, you will stand trial, you will be convicted." Sheriff Bilal then went full Spartacus, delivering an embarrassing performance more befitting an Antifa activist than a law enforcement officer. She called ICE officers fake wannabe law enforcement and claimed they were violating both legal law and moral law. Bilal pandered to the mob, warning the federal government that you don't want this smoke because we will bring it to you. She added that the criminal in the White House would not be able to keep ICE agents from going to jail. These are leaders openly playing to the mob. Now, he mentions Jonathan Turley again, if you're just joining us, his new book, Rage and the Republic, The Unfinished Story of the American Revolution. I examine how elected officials often enlist mobs to advance political agendas, only to be consumed by the unrest they unleash. This surrender to a mobocracy was among the dangers the framers sought to prevent through safeguards against majority tyranny. The problem with these I am Spartacus moments is they require an actual Spartacus. Instead, we get violence without a cause. We also get the same political actors who have trafficked in rage for generations. In Minneapolis, a Black Lives Matter leader appeared to advocate violence as a tool for change, suggesting that the prosecution of officers in the George Floyd case occurred only because protesters burned part of the city in 2020. She urged demonstrators to ignore pleas to not set the city on fire. In the movie Caesar is asking whether he too had left us for the mob. Caesar replies, "I've left no one, least of all Rome. This much I've learned, Rome is the mob." These politicians are attempting to harness mob power and direct it at their political opponents. One Antifa activist urged people to show up with guns and end this, adding that this is what the Founding Fathers gave us the Second Amendment for. What we are witnessing is not the American Revolution, but a march toward the French Revolution. If history is any guide, these new Jacobins will discover that they are no more immune to rage than their opponents, as today's revolutionaries become tomorrow's reactionaries. There you go. I thought that was an interesting piece by Jonathan Turley. There's another one that we don't have time to get to, but the callous and cynical politics that led to Renee Good's death by Daniel McCarthy. The only way to prevent more deaths like Renee Good's and more mayhem like that unleashed by the exploitation of George Floyd's killing is to stop giving in to activists who think they have a right to resist and obstruct law enforcement. Okay, on that note. Also, since we're talking about this, I want to mention this quickly. And then we're going to talk about the state of the state. Yes, I know we haven't talked about the state of the state, but we've got so much to cover there. And don't worry, we have plenty of time. Keep your comments coming in. Joe Abraham has a piece at Fox News, and he says, an illegal immigrant killed my daughter. Leftists march for Renee, not for his daughter, Katie. And this goes in with the left marching against Benjamin Netanyahu, with these anti-Semitic protests, but not standing with these strong people, the men and women in Iran fighting that regime. It's that same kind of hypocrisy. But Joe Abraham said, as I watched the coverage coming out of Minneapolis of the tragic shooting of a woman allegedly attempting to run over a federal agent, two things immediately came to me. First, how demonstrators were being stoked, inflamed, and used by politicians for self-serving purposes. Second, and far more personal, where was the outrage when my innocent 20-year-old daughter, Katie Abraham, was killed by an illegal alien, shielded and protected by Illinois sanctuary policies? Katie's killer was Julio Huckelbohl. He was using an alias. He is currently being treated for an incurable, communicable, infectious disease. Yet when my daughter was violently killed, there were no viral videos, no breathless media panels, no emotional press conferences, and no candlelight vigils amplified by politicians and pundits. Where were the stories about how the car Katie was riding in stopped at a red light, was struck from behind at nearly 80 miles per hour by a drunk driving illegal alien? Where was the outrage over how first responders had to pry the vehicle open like a tuna can to pull my daughter's lifeless body from the wreckage? It also struck me how the same media figures, politicians, and commentators now express outrage over the Minneapolis shooting, and they had nothing to say about Katie, nothing. But these politicians had this to say about the ICE shooting. Zohran Mamdani said, we know when ICE agents attack immigrants, they attack every single one of us across the country. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said, we stand in solidarity with the people of Minneapolis and with all those across the country whose lives have been torn apart to reckless actions by Trump's lawless, racist force. LA Mayor Karen Bass, it happens because of the brutal and racist policies of the Trump administration that unleashed these agents. The hypocrisy is impossible to ignore. The night before the June 12, 2025 congressional hearings on sanctuary policies, my wife and I happened to be eating dinner at the same restaurant as Tim Walz. I approached him and we had a polite conversation. Walz offered his condolences for Katie's death, which I appreciated. But the following day, while testifying in support of sanctuary policies, Walz did not say a single word about my daughter. Not one acknowledgement that Katie was violently killed by an illegal alien protected by the very policies he was championing. Instead, after the January 7th shooting, he declared that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety. At those hearings, J.B. Pritzker, Kathy Hochul also appeared. Yet my own Governor Pritzker has offered Katie nothing but indifference, silence, and disrespect. In my view, that is not compassion or humanity. It is entitlement. An aloof billionaire insulted from the consequences of his policies, insulated from the consequences of his policies, exempt from the harm they cause, just like the illegal aliens he protects. As we approach the one-year anniversary of Katie's death on January 19th, sanctuary policies continue to cause death and destruction, and our political leaders continue to double down. It also struck me how the same media figures, politicians, and commentators expressing outrage over the shooting have done nothing to say about Katie, nothing. Katie's death was not a random act of fate. It was a predictable outcome of policy decisions made by Illinois leaders who chose ideology over accountability. By refusing to cooperate with federal authorities, Illinois removed every guardrail that might have prevented tragedy. No meaningful background checks, no identity confirmation, no monitoring, no intervention until it was too late. Katie paid her life. And while my family grieves, Illinois leaders refuse to pause, audit, or reassess these policies. There's no serious effort to implement even basic safeguards, such as identity verification, like I mentioned. At those hearings, and we already went through this. Okay. Sacrificing people like Katie is not moral leadership, it is failure. If our leaders are unwilling to confront the consequences of their decision, they should step aside. And if they refuse, citizens must demand better leadership at the ballot box. We deserve safety, we deserve accountability, and we deserve leaders who value human life over political rhetoric. Sanctuary states have failed us all. They must do better. So that's Joe Abraham, who lost his daughter, Katie, as an illegal alien drunk driver crashed into her at nearly 80 miles per hour. All right, I see a lot of comments coming in. We're going to move away from that, talk about the state of the state. Apologize for the delay on that. We just had so much to cover. Stay with us. We will be right back after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lecom Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
What matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quick though, driving America.
Dear All-Wheel Drive, let's show the road what we've got. Snowy streets? We're coming for you. Icy grip? We're holding tight. Wintry mix? Safety's the name of our game. Toyota All-Wheel Drive sedans. Right now, lease the all-hybrid 2026 Camry with all-wheel drive for just $269 a month. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. First up, rabble-rousers like the one who suggested burning down a city should be immediately arrested and held accountable for any crime that happens as a result. Thank you very much. Ken writes in this morning, bullet points of, oh good, thank you. We're just about to talk about the state of the state, and Ken put together the bullet points from Hochul's delivery of the state of the state. So let's go through them. This is what Hochul's handlers wrote for her. Crime is down. She secured, wow, tongue twisted. She secured the best housing deal in history. The state of the state is strong. Trump is driving up costs, killing infrastructure projects, and is ripping mothers away from their babies. Trump tried to take money from first responders, but New York stopped it. New York won't bow to a wannabe king. New York has managed money responsibly. New York secured clean hydropower from Quebec for New York City. She brought the World Cup to New York City. She brought world-class transportation in New York City. New York increased child tax credits. New York has raised the minimum wage. Micron breaks ground in 3 days to build new chip plant. They played a montage of Democrats from New York City, Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo that stated how good Hochul is for New York. She said that she had to overcome huge struggles in her life, so she understands the struggles that people are going through. She has been working for over a year to supply child care for all New Yorkers. She will provide free child care for 4-year-olds by 2028. The state is paying for free child care for 2-year-olds for 2 years in New York City. She said that New York will provide universal child care for less than $15 a week. She is protecting New Yorkers from exorbitant utility rates. She'll be bringing down auto insurance rates by eliminating fraud and abuse. She has reduced crime and is working to further reduce it. New York will eliminate 3D printed handguns. She will stop gun manufacturers from making guns that can be converted to shoot 1,200 rounds a minute. She has eliminated cell phone use in school. She will enact stronger safety protocols for kids on social media. She will eliminate excessive regulations on home building. She wants people to know that tax dollars are being spent wisely and that the New York government is operating efficiently. She is bringing businesses back to New York. She's approved the 5-gigawatt nuclear power plant. She said that the energy system is there to serve New Yorkers first. If any companies that need excessive power, they will have to supply it themselves. She will require disclosure of AI-generated info during elections. She said that Trump is driving up healthcare costs and New York will fight him on hurting Americans. She said New York will stand up to the ICE agents abusing power and that no state resources will aid ICE. And if ICE tries to storm schools and churches, again, she will hold them accountable. Not surprisingly, says Ken, for a Democrat campaign speech, this was not a State of the State address. It had many references to handing out money and free services, while trying to sound as conservative as possible. She is not a very good speech reader. No, she isn't. Made several lame attempts at jokes with the crowd and had trouble reading her speech a couple times. Possibly she needs to take a cognitive test. Thank you, Ken. She isn't a good speech reader. She's very awkward. Again, I know I keep saying it, but she's basically... she was supposed to be lieutenant governor. She wasn't supposed to be governor. And thank you, by the way, Ken, for the great recap. She was never supposed to be at this level as governor, and she shows it. Whether it's the State of the State, we saw it at the Democratic National Convention, where she kind of blew it right off the jump, made a mistake right off the jump. She's not good at reading. Her jokes, I don't know who writes her jokes. If she's coming up with them herself, the people behind the scenes, they're normally completely awkward and uncomfortable. Even what Mark was referencing with Frankie Focus and stealing a cell phone. I mean, my goodness. I don't know how to describe her other than, like I say, she's not ready for prime time. She wants to be that kingmaker so bad. She doesn't have it. This speech written for her, she normally butchers speeches, interviews. She's very awkward and uncomfortable. But echoing what Ken says, I think this is this the New York Times? I think this was the New York Times. Yep, the New York Times. That Hochul tried to sound like Mom Donnie. In her State of the State, Kathy Hochul adopted some of the affordability message of Mayor Zohran Mamdani. She also took aim at federal immigration officials. Well, again, no surprise. I know we're running late. We'll read your comments here in just a moment after the next break. This is not surprising. She has to go with the anti-Trump rhetoric. She has to go far left because she's so concerned, and I think wrongheadedly, but she's so concerned about the Mamdani effect. I think, as I mentioned on yesterday's program, I think that's overrated. Yes, a socialist won mayor of New York. Well, Bill de Blasio was a socialist, essentially. He just wasn't officially on the line. Not that I recall. So this is not a surprise for New York City. You also had a very weak candidate and one that was too cocky to actually go out and campaign in the primary, and Andrew Cuomo. So it was a perfect storm that led to Mamdani's win. I don't think that was some type of bellwether that is going to translate to other national elections and state elections. I do think Governor Hochul's scared that she could be challenged by a Democrat Socialist of America in a primary or as a third party, or that the Democrat Socialists of America decided to go with her lieutenant governor, who is currently primarying her, Delgado, currently primarying her. So I think there is a real fear there. But using, again, because she wants to be a kingmaker. She thinks she is the most important. Remember, she thought she started the No Kings movement, which is the anti-Trump protests that have happened nonstop. She was saying the other day that she started those. She has a delusion of grandeur. She thinks she is on, for instance, the same level as Nancy Pelosi at the time, or Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, you name it, other big, J.B. Pritzker, when we talk about governors. She wants her name mentioned in those far left circles as being a great Democrat governor, and she's not a great governor or a great Democrat governor. Also, though, one proposal is to establish New York State as the nation's hard cider capital. What? That's how this article ends? I see that she had some bill just to show that they focus on the importance, or some aspect to it where they're going to change some rule where you can dance in certain restaurants in the city. Anyway. So thank you for that, Ken. We're going to take a break, read more of your comments. We've got quite a few things here about it, about the State of the State. Then if we have a chance, we've got a couple of quick things to run through. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Young's Tires at 909 Chemung Street in Horseheads is the area's most trusted automotive repair facility. Check engine light on? Visit Young's Tires for a complete diagnostic check. Trust Young's Tires for complete repair, including tires, suspension, brakes, and more. For over 50 years, Young's Tires in Horseheads has been your trusted automotive repair shop. Whether you're an off-roader looking for a suspension upgrade or you want to get your star player to the game, trust the team at Young's Tires.
Tide isn't just a gentle ebb and flow. It's a mighty force of change. Just like the tide shapes our shorelines, we can shape our planet's future and protect the world's oceans from its biggest threats. Help us turn the tide. Join Oceania's wave of ocean advocates who are making a difference in the world.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard him, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at Organ Donor.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Corning. Oh, a quick reminder before we read viewer comments. Don't forget, tomorrow on the broadcast, we are going to have Steuben County Legislative Chair, the Legislature Chair, Kelly Fitzpatrick. Just won her re-election to chair. We're always excited to have Kelly Fitzpatrick on the program, so she'll be joining us tomorrow. If you have any questions, please get them to me ahead of time because we're going to pre-record the interview due to both of our schedules. So if you don't mind, send me some questions if you have any questions. All right, viewer comments. Kathy Hochul is full of, we'll say baloney, but I appreciate your point, viewer. Comment from a different viewer regarding Hochul. Hokey Hochul, I like that. Regarding Hokey Hochul, talk about a propaganda machine. Russia and China could take lessons. Yeah, I mean, just the rhetoric she used, but it's even as if her staff isn't to that level. You know, when you see some of these politicians, we all know they're not coming up with their speeches. They're not coming up with some of their takeaway lines. People in the media are helping them or people in their staff are helping them. With Hochul, it's like she never gets the email until it's late. You know, some big statement that everybody keeps saying is even like when you talk about Maduro. She was talking about how Trump shouldn't have went in and got Maduro and that she talked to Trump and really gave him the what to for. And then after all that, she goes, oh, but Maduro's a bad guy. Where everybody else had got the memo, you say Maduro is a bad guy to begin with, and then towards the end, you make it with it. So she's just always about a week, a couple days behind on everything. Her jokes always fall flat. Her speech, to Ken's point, her, what's the word I'm looking for? Her kind of cadence is off. So nothing new. Now, the New York Times put together the takeaways from Governor Hochul's speech. Now, we already heard that they believe that she was echoing Mom Donnie. Their takeaways: lowering utility bills will be a key element of Hochul's re-election strategy. Isn't it great to cause a problem and then come in and say you're the only one that can fix it? With her green energy policies and what that has cost us in the pocketbook for so long now, isn't it nice that now she can come in and say, never mind, we're going to fix it? Cause a problem, then come in to quote-unquote fix it. She wants to put $50 million towards helping New Yorkers make their homes more efficient. She also proposed a change to auto insurance that would bring down rates by capping payouts for drivers who are breaking the law. But probably her most transformative proposal was released last week, a pitch to eventually provide free, universally available child care. Quote, this plan will ultimately deliver universal child care for every single family in New York, full stop. Oh, man. You've heard me say it before, not that it matters. I hate that idea about full stop. People say full stop so often. I don't understand. Is it supposed to be forceful? It's just when something's overused all the time, it's like nothing burger in politics when people say nothing burger. But full stop. Okay. Whatever. That seems like Hochul. She seems like the, I don't know, kind of the embarrassing mother that you don't want dropping you off at school sometimes. I don't know how to, I just can't put my finger on it. As part of the plan, the state would spend an additional $1.7 billion to expand coverage to 100,000 children in the coming year, bringing the state's total child care investment to $4.5 billion. Experts say that the cost for a statewide program would be $12 billion to $15 billion. Now this is interesting because the one piece said that she was echoing Mamdani. This piece says that Mamdani's agenda is not Hochul's agenda, even as she embraces portions of the affordability agenda. Again, what a disservice the media is doing by calling Mamdani's agenda affordability agenda. It's not. It's still paid for by taxpayers' dollars. Giving away everything free at taxpayers' expense is not affordability. But anyway, you know that. I'm preaching to the choir. Hochul also underscored the limit of their partnership, meaning her and Mamdani. She made no mention of Mamdani's goal of making the city's 345 bus routes free. She did not mention taxes or how she would pay for her visions. New York will get a better sense of how the governor plans to fund her proposals after the budget presentation last week. She also is pushing forth, and we've talked about this, the no protesting within 25 feet of houses of worship. This is kind of in response to all the anti-Semitic protests happening at synagogues throughout New York. State Assemblyman Micah Lasher, a Democrat who has been a proponent of the measure, said that this was not a cure-all for the anti-Semitism that we're seeing with disturbing frequency, but it's a meaningful step that the state can take. Hochul wants to protect children. That's with technology, those type of things. New York is going nuclear, which I think this is a good thing. I would say going nuclear for the policies that we have is not a bad thing. Even as activists champion new wind and solar projects across the state, Hochul has taken a more cautious stance amid warnings about rising costs and reliability challenges. She has angered environmental advocates with her recent moves to permit new natural gas pipelines in the state. She suggested that New York would lead the race to harness safe and reliable advanced nuclear energy to power homes and businesses with zero-emission electricity for generations to come. Few nuclear facilities have been constructed over the past decade, in large part because of concerns about cost and disposal of nuclear materials. On Tuesday, protesters gathered in Albany to oppose the governor's proposal, which they said was dangerous and irresponsible. Hochul pushes to break ground on MTA projects. We don't need to know about that. New Yorkers may soon be able to sue ICE. That is a big takeaway. Let me be clear, public safety will always come first, but it must be pursued lawfully and with humanity. In the event that these boundaries are crossed, it can sue. And finally, yes, we talked about the bingo card yesterday. There was time to talk about football. Hochul sneaked numerous references to her favorite team into her address, joking that getting the whole state to support the Bills was her way of bringing downstate and upstate together. She finished her speech by pulling out a Buffalo Bills hat and bopping her head to a cheer. Oh, wow. Good job, New York Times. Bopping her head. All the news that fit the print. What's their take? What is their line? The New York Times? Little gray lady, I think it means bopping her head to a cheer song for the team. Go Bills, indeed. Thank heavens. We got the football reference in from Hochul. All right. We got a couple other things on this. Keep your comments, keep your waves coming in. Oh, one quick thing before we go to break. I haven't mentioned this yet. Remember, we talked about this last year, the nutrition workshops at our good friends at the Painted Post Food Pantry. They hold them once a month. These were really popular last year. And if you haven't had a chance to go to the Painted Post Food Pantry, which is at 201 North Hamilton Street, if nothing else, just to look around and see the amazing work they do with essentially so little, they deserve lot of kudos. They also deserve your donations and your support. But the Paint and Post Food Pantry is hosting a series of nutrition workshops. They'll be held monthly from January through May. Each workshop is 1 hour from 10:30 till 11. Register for door prizes, sip some beverages, and enjoy light refreshments during the presentation. Sample the recipe that Mary Ellen Bunch, the friendly nutritionist, will make. Take home a free kitchen tool, too. This will be 1 hour of fun for anyone who enjoys food and cooking. So the first one is today. I know I waited till the last minute to tell you. So the first one is today, the nutrition workshop at the Painted Post Food Pantry, 201 at North Hamilton Street in Painted Post. That's from 10:30 till 11:30 a.m. this morning. And we'll keep reminding you as the months tick away. But that was a big success. We hear from a lot of people that really enjoyed it. A lot of people that really looked forward to them each month last year. All right, let's take that short break. We'll be right back reading your comments when we return.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Month after year after year, even decades, you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WYDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. We got a lot of great viewer comments coming in. Wow, a lot of them. How are we doing on time? Yes, okay. Rick writes in, well, old Wild Bill doesn't want to talk to Congress. This is in reference to the Clintons. And I mentioned it in the 6 o'clock hour, actually suggesting that they are defending the country by not testifying at the Epstein investigation. Even though it was a bipartisan subpoena, they would not do it because they wanted to defend the country. That's some wild reasoning. But Rick says, old Wild Bill doesn't want to talk to Congress. Ain't that something? Rode around on Epstein's plane, hung out at the pool on the island, just having a little fun, not doing anything wrong. Yeah, the fact that he won't, I mean, I think it speaks volumes. And it will be interesting at a time when so many people attack Trump on this, even with the auto worker there that yelled about it. Will there be, and I've seen a little bit in the mainstream media, but will there be that laser-like magnified focus on Bill Clinton and Hillary for not testifying? I think that's a fair question. Rick continues, I was watching some of those Border Patrol and ICE agents getting a guy out of his car at a gas station. They broke out his driver's side window, then 6 to 8 of them took 5 minutes to get him out of the car. If you strut around with a mask on to disguise yourself, you're a coward. When 6 to 8 people take 5 minutes to get one person out of the front seat of a car, they are weak, undisciplined, and poorly trained in restraint. And hey, your fearless leader flipped a factory worker off twice and threw a cuss word at him. What awesome leadership. He didn't want to hear the truth about himself. You all should be real proud. A zero-class leader and the Gestapo roaming the streets. Dictatorship. This is a disaster. That's Rick. All right, we were talking about the state of the state. Mark writes in, I'll sum it up. Hochul is like the ant you can't stand, always meddling where she is not wanted and making poor decisions and then trying to rectify them. And you're right, Mark. And she's also kind of the ant that awkwardly tries to fit in too much and falls flat every time with either jokes or using new, not even, full stop isn't even new, but trying to use kind of slang and these type of things. Or look how much I like the Bills. Okay. Yeah, your biggest Bills fan of all time. I saw that one piece of the Empire Report that basically said if she's such a big Bills fan, when's she going to jump through the table? I haven't seen that yet. But yes, I would agree with you, Ken. Very much like an awkward ant. One that meddles in your business and one that really causes a lot of problems and blames it on others, right? Causes all these problems and blames them on others. It wasn't me. It was, I don't know, my ex-husband or something, you know? All right. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Despite what we all know and say about Hochul, she isn't going anywhere. Say her name, Governor Kathy Hochul. Yes, that's in reference to earlier about that whole theory, or Jonathan Turley's theory on say her name. You're right. I wish you were wrong. I don't believe she's going anywhere. I think Bruce Blakeman all but secured that. I will drop that eventually, and we'll do what we can to highlight his campaign. I have something on him here in a little bit that we'll talk about when he referenced the state of the state and some things he's doing with his campaign. But I think when Stefanik dropped out because she didn't have Trump's support, and these are just speculations that many have, that she didn't get Trump's full support, that he didn't endorse her right off the jump to get Blakeman out. And when Blakeman said he was going to keep running, it's Nassau County in their bubble, thinking that they know better. I mean, when you have the guy, Bruce Blakeman, saying he's going to have to run upstate to get them to know him, it's too late. It's just too late. Upstate would have went overwhelmingly. She wouldn't even had a campaign here. Would have went overwhelmingly for Stefanik. The fact that he has to campaign here and his popularity as Nassau County executive is not going to translate. So I'm with you. It's all over but the shouting in my mind. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you guys can all laugh and ridicule me for being so wrong. I just don't see the support behind him from Republicans, which he needs. I see now with the addition of the always running third-party candidate, Larry Sharp, who at one point had kind of duped quite a few conservatives into voting for him, what was that, two times around? Maybe it was with Astorino. Doing a good job of convincing them that he was more conservative. Keep in mind, whatever you think is going to happen in the race, Larry Sharp is not going to win either as a third party. And he's ran consistently, time and time again. But having said all that, I'm with you. I think it's going to be Governor Hochul's. I hope I'm wrong, but Bruce Blakeman all but secured that. Ken writes in, if I'm a betting man, I would wager the Hochul wouldn't know a sack from a touchdown. I would agree. She likes playing that. And you know people in your life that are like this, that they're the biggest fan of some sports team ever. You sometimes sit back and go, I wonder how many games they watched, or I wonder how much they actually know about the team. But boy, it's not everybody, but you know someone I'm speaking to specifically. You've got them in their mind. That's what Governor Hochul seems like when she's talking about the Bills. Okay. When we talk about what's in the state of the state, you've got the universal child care, which that's kind of to get on Zohran Mamdani's side. Now, this says immigrant protections. It's more kind of an anti-ICE measures. Streamlining buildings, again, a problem that she caused with many of her green policy initiatives. Now she's coming in to fix it. I mean, this was, who said it? Yeah, because you've got New York scaling back on environmental regulations. But what's interesting, Hochul is still not on board with New York for All, which is kind of that sanctuary law. But let's read what, because I don't want to, we're going to run out of time if I don't do this. Phil Palmisano, who is going to be on the program Friday, Assemblyman Palmisano, mark your calendars, Fridays with Phil. He weighed in on or reacted to the state of the state, saying Governor Hochul delivered her annual State of the State address today and outlined her priorities for the upcoming legislative session. I look forward to hearing more specific details about her agenda when she presents her executive budget proposal next week. It is no secret New York is facing not only affordability crisis, but a quality of life crisis as well. We cannot afford yet another year of bloated spending, high taxes, bureaucratic red tape, and rising energy costs that are being pushed forward in Albany. I, along with my Assembly Republican colleagues, will continue to push back against these policies, as well as advocate for fiscal responsibility and common sense public safety policies. If Governor Hochul is serious about reversing the affordability, public safety, and quality of life crisis facing our state, she will present a budget that is not only responsible, but works for all New Yorkers, not just progressive elites. I urge the governor and legislative leaders to work across the aisle to achieve this goal. Thank you, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski said that Governor Hochul ignores Seneca Nation gaming compact in the state. Negotiating a new gaming compact with the Seneca Nation is critical for Western New York's economy. Seneca Gaming and Entertainment generates more than $2 billion in economic activity for the region, and the Seneca Nation employs more than 4,000 people, most of them non-native. A new gaming compact is essential to the economic well-being of the 148th District and all of Western New York. It is beyond time, said Sempolinski, for the governor to sit down with Seneca Nation President J.C. Seneca and negotiate a fair and equitable gaming compact that protects the interests of the Seneca Nation and New York State. So thank you to Joe. That was more specific to his district, but we're going to talk with him probably next week or the week after. I can't remember now, to get his full reaction to the state of the state. All right, we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and Horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
From Excel member service to easy, reliable, and secure digital banking and a deep commitment to the communities we call home, First Heritage is proud to be part of our members' everyday lives. That's why we're honored to be named Best Credit Union in the Twin Tiers 5 years in a row and Best Locally Owned Business in 2025. To our members, thank you for your trust, your loyalty, and your votes. And if you're not yet a member, visit fhfcu.org or stop by your local branch and see for yourself what makes First Heritage the best.
There have always been a few, ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. The Epstein campaign to bring closure for all the victims is right back to where it all started. No Bill Clinton, no closure. The media will hardly notice we've moved on to riots in the streets. Well, that's why I'm wondering if they're going to cover Bill Clinton, because, again, I don't think the Clintons help themselves with a statement that says that they are defending the country and defending the character of the country by not testifying in the Epstein investigation. Use language as strong as defending the country. They're defending the country by not giving information about Epstein. That's some delusions of grandeur there. Mark writes in, whether we like Blakeman or not, we need a red governor in New York State. The blue system is failing and we need change. I couldn't agree more. And it's not about, I couldn't agree more. Listen, at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people out there that whom begrudgingly may not like Blakeman because of how everything happened with Stefanik, but they're still going to vote for him. I'm not putting it that way. And that's why I discouraged the third-party candidate. A lot of people got kind of tricked by Larry Sharp thinking that he had a chance a couple times ago, and of course he didn't. He's the third-party candidate, and people can call or write in and call in, text in if they disagree. I'm with you, and that's why I said I'm going to move on from my constant criticism. It's just very frustrating, and I would say that the wound is still raw at this point with Blakeman. Comment from a different viewer, and I actually started with just a comment. Thank you. Just a comment. Even if Jesus endorsed Hochul, I still wouldn't vote for her. Wow. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that happening anytime soon. I don't see the second coming happening just to endorse Hochul, but I appreciate your comment. But since we talked about Bruce Blakeman, he slammed Hochul's State of the State, making it clear he's running on Trump's script. And he's even got, and I'm not going to criticize every little thing Blakeman does. I'm not. I don't think it works. I've even seen it at the local level where people try to make Trump-inspired hats, like make Corning great again. I'm just using off the top of my head. Or make Steuben County or Chemung County great again. I just don't think it works. You can't. For whatever reason, you've seen a lot of people try to do it. Jeb Bush tried to do it in one debate. You can't emulate Trump and be successful. So he has an Empire State version of the MAGA hat. But the likely Republican gubernatorial candidate is set to debut a red baseball cap that reads, you guessed it, "Make New York Happy Again. Vote Blakeman." Make New York happy again. Vote Blakeman. He talked about Blakeman, 70 years old, talked about about Hochul's, State of the State, saying she didn't mention her record. She only talked about Washington Republicans and Trump as if they're the reason why we're so overtaxed, overregulated, crime's been out of control, and she's just living in a different universe than the hardworking families in the state. She's got no ability to understand their problems and their issues and how to solve them. The way to solve them is not by giving them a free bus ride. It's by creating good jobs, economic development, and prosperity so people have more money in their pockets. Again, this is Bruce Blakeman. Trump has endorsed Bruce Blakeman after Stefanik dropped out of the race. Blakeman challenged the anti-Trump rhetoric that Hochul harped on during most of her State of the State, as she touted her accomplishments while blaming the White House for shortcomings in economic and pro-immigration policies. Blakeman said, "We are the most overtaxed state in the United States. The most overtaxed, and therefore, as the most overtaxed state in the United States, you are hurting middle-class families. There's a reason why hundreds of thousands of people have left the state under your tenure, Governor Hochul. It's the reason why thousands of businesses have left New York State under your tenure." And if you listen to your speech, you would think that you were just elected today, when in fact you've been governor for over 4 years. So that is Bruce Blakeman, what looks to be the gubernatorial candidate here in New York State. Let's take a break, and then we're going to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking, so get your last second comments in.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Dear Winter, we're coming. Our squad of vehicles, with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, is ready to take you on. Safety's the name of our game. Bundle up. Toyota.
Right now, you can lease Tacoma for just $259 a month or get 2.99% APR for a full 72 months on a new Tundra. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We've been talking about the state of the state. this morning with Governor Hochul delivering that. As I mentioned, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be on the program on Friday to talk all about it. Let's go to some viewer comments before we wrap up today's edition. History repeats itself. When uniformed sheep people stay asleep, the wolves rule. If what is happening today was a movie, we would all be anticipating and trying to figure out how it ends. Countries around the world are moving in uncontrolled, unvetted immigrants. Once inside the border, they want to change it to be like the country they left. History shows that brings them down. The Mall of America is a prime example of what's in store for the states that allow the takeover. Thank you very much. In regards to the state of the state, Mark writes in, a better hat for Blakeman would be make New York affordable again, and that will make New York happy again. Have a great day. Yes, thank you, Mark. Have a great day yourself. I agree. I don't know why happy is the term. That sounds very reminiscent of, I know, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but what was Kamala Harris's joyful or joy or whatever it was? I don't know, make America or make New York happy again. Maybe just because it fits better on a hat, but I'm not sure that's the message that you want to send. We all want to be happy, but there's a lot more to it. Ken writes in, I think we should get Hochul into a primary. Letitia James for governor. It might be fun watching. That's a good point. I think she should. I think Letitia James should throw her hat in the ring. That would be a viable candidate. That would make things interesting. The Post editorial board says that the state of the state was basically Hochul saying, please reelect me. Her top priority for New York is getting reelected. Hochul seized on the new buzzword affordability with universal daycare, her chief offering. That's also one of Zohran Mamdani's top goals, of course. The governor wants his love and his voters, even if it bankrupts the state. And remember, he still has not endorsed Hochul. And I do think if they got an even semi-viable DSA candidate to run against her, I think he'd endorse a DSA candidate in a heartbeat. Characteristically, she offers just a modest foot-in-the-door first step, a pilot program that reaches just 2,000 city kids. But down the road, experts put the tab for statewide universal child care at $15 billion or more. That's likely after she leaves office, though. She's aiming to win credit for being on the right side without having to budget for it until she's done facing the voters. Meanwhile, the state already faces billions in red ink in the coming years, and billions more as Washington cuts back on Biden-era, no questions asked federal funds for New York's sprawling welfare state that special interests feed off of. And we've talked about the potential for, and what looks very much like the scandals that have, the fraud that's taken place in New York. The governor opted to paint that as D.C. Republicans' war on the state, inciting New Yorkers' rights are under attack and vowing to fight back. She offered no hint of seeking reforms to Medicaid, the largest single category of state spending, after her last effort at a fix. Hochul also jumped on the anti-ICE bandwagon, vowing to stand up to agents who abuse their power. That's a blatant pander to the radical anti-ICE left. But hello, agents who break the law are already subject to consequences, so it's just pandering. And all-out resistance to ICE guarantees trouble. New York already shields even the worst of the worst illegal immigrants from the least disruptive apprehension, namely as they leave jail. The governor's message really boils down to managing the decline of the state. Perhaps that rock no boats agenda will indeed win her another term, but it does nothing to even challenge the forces eating away at New York's prosperity. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. As I mentioned, tomorrow on the program, we will have the chair of the Steuben County Legislature, just winning re-election at chair, as a matter of fact, just a few days ago. Kelly Fitzpatrick will be our guest. We always look forward to having Kelly on the program. So make sure you tune in tomorrow and every weekday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. I look forward to it already.
Looking for a pre-owned vehicle you can trust? Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships has over 2,000 quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Cars, trucks, SUVs, every make, every model, every budget. All inspected, reconditioned, and backed by a team that puts your peace of mind first. After the sale, using the latest technology, our certified technicians deliver dependable, honest service you can trust. Over 2,000 pre-owned vehicles, 18 locations. Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. We're taking deals the other guys won't.